This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome to the Special Chronicles podcast. My name is Daniel Smokowski. I'm the founder and host of Special Chronicles and the Southern Tribal Global Messenger alum with Special Olympics. Our website, specialchronicles.com, to follow Special Chronicles on socials and wherever you get podcasts. This week on the Special Chronicles podcast, I am very excited to welcome a new friend, Susan Wang, a Southern Tribal Global Messenger from Special Olympics Canada from 2024 to 2027, and has been a Special Olympics athlete since 2011. Please put your virtual hands together as we welcome Susan on the Special Chronicles podcast and specialchronicles.com. Welcome, Susan.
Hi. Thank you. Hello. Thank you so much for having me today.
It's excited to have you on the program, and we first got connected, I believe, a couple months ago when Brandon, one of the staff at Special Olympics, had connected us for Special Olympics North America SSGM meeting, where you got to meet me and Wang and Hannah, your predecessors for our North America region, to support you in your term. So why don't you share in your own words how we got connected and about that first meeting that we had.
Yes, so during our first SSGM meeting in Washington, D.C. a few months ago, Brandon had mentioned that this will be the first time that we will get connected with our region's alumni. And then we just went from there. Brandon connected with us all at first, and then we just went from there.
Awesome. So on this episode, we'll definitely have to have Brandon count how many times we mention his name.
Yes, probably a lot.
Probably a lot of winks towards Brandon's name. But anyways, one of these days, we'll maybe have to try to get Brandon on this podcast. We'll see. I know he like to say behind the camera, but we'll have to see if maybe we can give a little nod to Brandon to come on the podcast sometime. But so before we get into how you became a Southern Tribal Global Messenger, let's take our listeners back to the early days and tell us what disability you were diagnosed with, as well as your birth story and early years with your disability.
Yes, for sure. So I was diagnosed with autism, ADHD, and a learning disability when I was 14. I was diagnosed pretty late. When I was a child, I did have difficulty learning in schools and stuff, and the teachers wouldn't understand me necessarily. So it has been a challenge of me getting used to everything and getting used to fitting in. But when I was 14 and I had the diagnosis, everything made sense and I was much happier.
Awesome. And let's, before we get into the focus on your accomplishments, maybe take us back to what are a few of the challenges because of your disability.
I was pretty slow at processing different things, and it was hard for people to understand me. I have had speech therapy and all of that to try and help me communicate better.
Awesome. And as a lot of our listeners know, our challenges is not the focus of this podcast, but it's our joys and accomplishments. And so, briefly, we'll get into a little bit more of your accomplishments later on in the program. But briefly, share with us what are a few of your joys and accomplishments because of your disability.
I always try not to let things stand in my way and try to always go for my best. Even though I have this diagnosis, I never let that be a barrier of what I can accomplish. And I go for more despite having all of the challenges.
Awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of us athlete leaders probably do the same thing. We don't let our challenges get in the way of us achieving our dreams. And with that, we'll get into how you became a special Olympic athlete and your journey to becoming a Southern Tribal Global Messenger, the highest athlete leadership role for the movement. After this quick break, to let all of you out there listening know to the support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. Please join our supporters with a monthly or one-time donation so we can operate our studio and continue our mission, giving respect and voice to those of us with disabilities like Susan and myself and the many others across the globe. You can visit specialchronicles.com/plus to join Special Chronicles Plus and access our exclusive premium bonus content and help to support this podcast. Join now at specialchronicles.com/plus. And with that, Susan, we kind of building upon your early years, share with us, and I mentioned at the top of the program that you became a Special Olympics athlete in 2011. Take our listeners back to how you got started in this movement. How did you become a Special Olympics athlete?
Yes, of course. So my journey started back in high school. I was always a shy kid growing up, and after the diagnosis when I was 14, my parents looked into different ways of trying to help me fit in better and make friends. It was then where I had another friend who was in Special Olympics, and they kind of introduced us to Special Olympics and how inclusive it was and playing sports and all of that. And at first, I had no idea about it or anything about it. So I found out that they had alpine skiing, and that's one of my favorite sports. So I was so excited to try the sport and to be in Special Olympics.
Awesome. And speaking of the sport, you said alpine skiing, but what can you share with us? So for myself, in the past, I've competed in swimming. Now I compete in basketball, and I just started bocce for the first time. But what sports have you participated in? Can you share with us, and maybe what your favorite sport as well is?
Yes, at the beginning, I was experimenting with different sports. I was in bowling, softball. I currently participate in floor hockey now, alpine skiing, club fit, swimming, and track and field.
Awesome. And with the upcoming World Winter Games in 2025, I'm sure you'll be going to watch the alpine skiing competition in Turin, Italy.
Yes, definitely. I'm so looking forward to that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's all my class of Southern Tribal Global Messengers didn't get a chance to go to the Winter Games. We've only experienced the World Summer Games, both in Abu Dhabi and Berlin. So your class will get a chance to experience both winter and summer. So now kind of switching gears to kind of going off the field. As we know, a big part of the movement going building upon our sports and building upon our competitions is athlete leadership. And so how did you get started in athlete leadership?
I would say it started after I came back from the World Games in Australia in 2017 by competing in alpine skiing. After that, it just started with media interviews and just a lot of interviews in general. And the SOBC staff always reach out to me to do different events and to public speak. And it just flourished from there.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm sure it definitely has. And as our listeners, we'll put a link to your bio on SpecialOlympics.org, as well as if they're just listening to this podcast, they'll hear about a few more of those opportunities. And speaking upon those leadership opportunities that you talked about, I think we're going to share a similar, a few similar opportunities that we both have had. Yourself in Canada, me here in just south of you in the U.S. But tell us about your leadership opportunities. I read in your bio that you are the chair of the Canadian Athlete Leadership Council. You also sit on the Canadian Board of Directors. Can you tell us about how you got these leadership opportunities and what you enjoy about these athlete leadership opportunities?
Yes, I love the different opportunities so much. I think my first time sitting on the council was back in 2018 to 2020, where I sat on the BC Board of Directors and the Leadership Council. Even though I was so nervous to speak up, I think it was such a great opportunity for me to have that chance of becoming a leader. And then afterwards, the pandemic happened and we were virtual in a lot of the meetings. And then I was invited to be part of the BC Athletes Input Council, where we give our opinions on different stuff related to Special Olympics BC and the impact of athletes. And then after that, I was nominated. I was nominated to be an athlete representative on the Canadian Athlete Council, and I said yes straight away. And they were looking for a chair after a year, and I was looking for new opportunities, so I was able to pursue that and try to become a chair for the Canadian Athlete Leadership Council, and it was such a great experience. And after that, I was automatically in the Canadian Board of Directors, and we have different meetings every year.
Awesome,
So, yeah.
awesome. And just like you, so in Special Olympics Illinois, the both place of Special Olympics, I've had a chance to be the one of the co-chairs of all Illinois Athlete Leadership Council, and in the past I've sat on our board of directors. So it's neat to be able to represent our fellow athletes within our local program in our region and now across the globe. Switching somewhat gears to in meeting you a few months ago to reading your bio, I discovered that you you create media content, and just like it's probably obvious on this podcast, I also create media content on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, and also enjoy even before I started podcasting, I took pictures when I was competing at our local summer games. And so, can you tell us how you got started creating media content on YouTube?
Yes, it all started in 2020, where I really wanted to stay connected with friends and family. But it was really hard because of the pandemic. So I tried to stay connected by making lifestyle videos and vlogs. And then after a few years, I think it was about 2 years, um, I started to branch out into new things. So now I make ASMR videos to help people relax and to stay positive.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we're gonna remind our listeners again at the end of the program, but if they want to subscribe to your YouTube channel, that's can you share with us where our listeners can go?
Yes, so you could find me on YouTube, and I'm Susan's Accent ASMR.
Awesome. And so for those of you watching the video, you see it on the screen, but for those of you listening to the audio podcast, we'll put links in the description below where you can subscribe to Susan's YouTube channel. And outside of Special Olympics, there's another thing that we share in common. In addition to our love of creating media content and taking pictures, you received a bachelor's degree in early childhood education and now work full time at a child care center with children under 5. Just like you, I also have a bachelor's degree, but in journalism. And in the past, I've worked as a freelance reporter and columnist at a small newspaper. So we both share that in common of going to college and receiving a bachelor's degree for yourself in early childhood education, myself in journalism. Tell us about your time in college and why you wanted to go to college, the challenges and joys of going to college.
Yes, I would say going to college was such a roller coaster ride. There was ups and downs, definitely, but overall, I really enjoyed the experience of getting to learn more and to be involved in my education, to study, to be something that I'm really passionate about. It was amazing because I got to make a lot of friends there, and to be able to go to different events in my college. I was actually living on the college residence for a while, and it was such a great experience to become independent and try to do things for myself.
Awesome, awesome. Very, very exciting, and I'm sure that's helping you in your full-time job, working with children, and even I'm sure in your role now as a Southern Tribal Global Messenger, I'm sure that's a lot of the skills that you learned in college is also is it also helping you, the skills that you had in college also helping you now as a Southern Tribal Global Messenger?
It has definitely my communication skills have gotten better, and I'm able to communicate my thoughts and be more confident.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm sure if those are other athletes in Special Olympics that are listening to us right now, college might not be the right decision for you, but you can hear examples from Susan, from myself, and others where college you can gain skills that can help you in your athlete leadership, can help you in your competition and in your daily life. And with that, when we come back from this next short break, we'll talk all about you, Susan, becoming a Southern Tribal Global Messenger for our North America region, for Canada, and across the globe. All of that is coming up after this next break right here on SpecialChronicles.com. And support for Special Chronicles comes from the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program, the country's in the U.S. the first energy and solar education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. Learn more at SpecialChronicles.com/ComEd, at SpecialChronicles.com/ComEd. And support for Special Chronicles comes from United Airlines Bridge Disability Business Resource Group, connecting people of all abilities. Learn more on United's commitment to disability inclusion for employment and travel at specialchronicles.com/United. That's specialchronicles.com/United.
Just a quick video to watch.
Margaret, this is your X Factor moment.
Hello, I'm Tim Shriver, and I'm the chair of Special Olympics International, and I'm also the Special Olympics International fan chief. But my great honor today is to let you know that you have been accepted, rewarded, welcomed as a Sergeant Shriver Global Messenger. Congratulations. 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 You have won this award, this distinction, because of your work, because of your determination, because of the power of your voice, because of the example you've set for other people who have joined together to say, we believe in you. And now, in this role, perhaps one of the most difficult but most important roles in the entire Special Olympics movement, I welcome you and I encourage you to find and define the goals that you have that can superpower the inclusion revolution. We know you have it in you, that's why you were chosen. But we also know that you have even more in you than you've yet to give. My dad, Sergeant Shriver, for whom this program is named, traveled all over the world because he had one central belief, that the Special Olympics movement could change the world. You are now the holders of his legacy and of the passions and hopes of all of us. You now are invited to travel all over the world and let them know that the power of inclusion, the power of grit and determination, the power of openness and trust and belief in the goodness and dignity of every person, these values of the Special Olympics movement can change the world. You are now Sergeant Shriver, Global Messenger. Thank you for all you've done that got you here. Welcome to this extraordinarily powerful community of fellow athletes. And I now get ready to stand back and watch as you change the world. Congratulations.
With that, for those of you listening, if you are listening to the audio podcast, go check out the video on our YouTube, specialchronicles.com. Click on watch, and you can see that announcement video on this episode. But for those of you listening, before we get into your own words, Susan, I want to share with all of you listening. If you do not know what is a Sergeant Shriver Global Messenger, for 20 years, Special Olympics athlete leaders have served in a select role, in the highest role, titled Sergeant Shriver Global Messenger. These spokespeople for the movement lead the campaign for a more inclusive world for people with intellectual disabilities through, as our chairman and fan and chief, Tim Shriver, said in the video that you just heard. Through their participation and leadership at global, regional, and local events, both internal and external, to the Special Olympics movement, they challenge the mindsets of political leaders, policymakers, educators, employers, and society. And Susan, can you share, share with us first in your own words, what is a Sergeant Shriver Global Messenger?
Yes. So to me, a Sergeant Shriver Global Messenger is someone who has a powerful voice and who has the desire and passion to create a world of change and to be more inclusive and to be part of the inclusion revolution.
Awesome. And take our listeners saw in the video a few clips of when your program in Canada announced you as one of 10 Southern Shriver Global Messengers. So take us back to, I believe it was the end of 2023, about a year ago when it was announced. To take us back to that moment of what was going on in your head. What was your reaction to being? Because I know from myself 5 years ago, it was a difficult application. There's a lot that goes to even applying for this highest athlete leadership role. So, in your own words, what was your reaction to being selected as a Southern Shriver Global Messenger?
Mm, yeah, so it was really surprising at first. The SOBC staff all kept it a surprise for a few days, and I had no idea. The vice president of sport for Special Olympics BC invited me to the office, and they were holding the board of directors meeting at that time. We had a staff who was retiring at that time, so she just said that it was a retirement party for her, and if I would be interested in going, and I really love that staff so much, so I said yes, I would love to be going, and I had no idea that I was even selected as the Southern Shriver Global Messenger. It was really surreal to me. I just finished 4 days of work, so I was already really tired. So I was really surprised and shocked and a little bit confused why they were filming me. I had no idea why they were filming me, and yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, I know. Just like my self, it was a surprise for me as well. 5 years ago, how take us back to how you heard about this role, the highest athlete leadership role, Southern Shriver Global Messenger. How did you hear about this opportunity? Because it's for those of you listening in, it's a 4-year term. Susan, one of 10 Southern Shriver Global Messengers from 2024 to 2027. Can you share with us how did you hear about this opportunity?
Yeah, so I've actually known about this role for a couple of years. Back in 2010, there was another athlete leader from Special Olympics BC who was selected. So I've known that he was a Southern Shriver Global Messenger too. So it has been a while since Canada represented. And I heard about this new opportunity from the SOBC staff, that this opportunity came up for another 4 years. It has always been my dream of becoming a global messenger. So they walked me through the application process. It was pretty difficult. The application process, there was a lot of things to do, but I was determined. I usually wait until the last minute to do applications and stuff, but for this, I did it a few months before it was due, because I really wanted this opportunity so much. So I wanted to focus on the questions and the videos.
Awesome. A few things I wanted to comment on that you said. You said that you heard of a previous SSGM from British Columbia, I believe, who I believe his name was Matthew Williams. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I got to meet Matthew and his wife Crystal, both at the Abu Dhabi as well as the Berlin World Games, and both of them have been on this podcast. And then you mentioned being determined. That was so the phrase "meet the determined" or "people of determination" was used at the Abu Dhabi World Games, and so that's I loved how you use that phrase, being determined, because I think that's an example that yourself, myself, and the over 4 million athletes across the globe, that we are showing the world that we are people with determination, that we are determined to even overcome a difficult application process, as the just like you, it was difficult for me as well. But it's when you're motivated for an opportunity, like you were motivated for this opportunity 5 years ago. I was motivated for this opportunity. You, when you put in that determination, then you are able to achieve your dreams of becoming a Southern Striver Global Messenger. Why, when you applied, why did you want to become a Southern Striver Global Messenger? I read in your bio that you said that you wanted to use your voice in a meaningful way and showcase that no matter what your abilities are, we can all make a difference in the community. In your own words, I read a little bit from your bio, but maybe share with our listeners in your own words why you wanted to become a Southern Tribal Global Messenger.
Yes, definitely. I have a very unique voice and I have a strong accent, even though I have been in Canada for about 25 years now. My accent always stays. So I wanted to showcase that no matter what your abilities are and what kind of communicator you are, you can always make a difference in your community and create a powerful change, because our voices matter so much. And I wanted to use my voice to show the difference and to showcase that being different is amazing.
Awesome. I love that being different is amazing. I love that's what you want to show. And I'm sure throughout your 4 years, you're gonna, when you talk to either business leaders or to our partners, or in community groups inside and outside the movement, they're gonna see that they're gonna see just how amazing it is. What are a few of your goals that and I'm sure when you applied and even when you went through your SSGM training in Washington, D.C., you talked a little bit about your goals. What are a few of your goals as a Southern Tribal Global Messenger these next, half of your first year is done? So for the next 3.5 years, what are a few of your goals as a Southern Tribal Global Messenger?
One of my goals, I would say, is to train other athletes into becoming leaders and using their voices for good. I want to try facilitating a meeting and a training of how to better equip the new athlete leaders on becoming a powerful speaker. I also want to bring this inclusion revolution into schools, and for schools to be more inclusive, and to showcase that everyone is different, and that's what makes everyone so special.
Awesome. And we all know that as a Southern Tribal Global Messenger, will make an impact in society. I read in your bio that you said that the impact that you wanted to make as an SSGM is to bring awareness and change the narrative of how society perceives people with intellectual disabilities, and advocate for a better change to represent Canada in a meaningful way and give your diverse perspective on different topics while meeting different people from around the world. And as an SSGM, you hope to educate and inspire and move people in different ways. Can you share a little bit more and kind of expand on that thought of what impact that you hope to make as a Southern Tribal Global Messenger?
I really hope to change the narrative of how people perceive people with intellectual disability, because sometimes there are misconceptions of what people with intellectual disabilities can do and can't do. And I want to change that. We can do anything we set our minds to. There are no limits, and everyone, if you're really determined, you can make a big impact and do what you want to do in life.
Awesome. I love that. And as we wrap up this segment, before we get into some final thoughts, have you comment on this challenge from Tim Shriver, who is our chairman and fan-in-chief of Special Olympics, who recently, when the announcement was made of your SSGM class, he had a challenge for your group to push the transformation of inclusive education through sports. And he said, I challenge this group, quote, I challenge this group to push the transformation of inclusive education through sports and create a world where everyone, regardless of their abilities, is accepted, choose to include. And can you comment on what you hope to do when it comes to either to unified champion schools or inclusive education? How you plan to kind of take Tim's challenge in Canada and bring more inclusive education and bring more unified schools to Canada and your region?
Yes, I really hope to promote it in different schools in our local communities and schools, and for young children to realize that inclusion is very important. Since I work in a school with children under 5, I think it's important to educate them early on so they can know inclusivity in the future, and to always be a friend to others.
Awesome. I love that. And I love that Tim challenge perfectly connects with your full-time job in early childhood education and your degree in education as well. Grace, from your class in New Zealand, she had a similar type of she had a similar goal for a similar project with unified schools, bringing it to whole country. And I'm sure that, like what you just said, that you'll do the same. So I'm sure Tim is excited that you and your class are going to help to encourage most schools to take part in the unified champion schools and the unified schools in your own countries and in your region. With that, we'll get into some final thoughts. But before that, can you share with the listeners where they can follow your journey as a Southern Tribal Global Messenger on Instagram and Facebook and your YouTube channel? I'll put links in the show notes, but where can our listeners follow you on Instagram, Facebook, and in your channel on YouTube?
Yes, definitely. So you can follow my Instagram. It's Susan_Wang. And on YouTube as well. Maybe I'll make a special channel dedicated to the Southern Tribal Global Messenger and showcase my adventures as the Global Messenger. But for now, you can follow my YouTube channel of @Susan's Accent ASMR.
Awesome. So I'll make sure to put those links in the show notes, in the description below, wherever you guys are listening to this episode. Look down in below, and you'll find links to follow at SusanWing_1 on Instagram, and then at Susan Accent ASMR on YouTube. So those links will be in the description below. So before we get to the final question, Susan, do you have any final thoughts on your overall time today? I know the time will hit about 40 minutes of the actual episode, and so do you have any final thoughts? The time has flown by, but do you have any final thoughts on your overall time today on the Special Chronicles podcast that you want to share with all listeners?
This was so much fun. It was my first time being a part of the podcast, and I loved it so much. Thank you so much for all the wonderful questions, and it was amazing getting to do the podcast with you. Thank you for inviting me here today.
Awesome. Yeah, it was so much fun having you on the program. And if Brandon from Special Olympics is listening, we'll maybe have to try to encourage him to maybe along with you and Wyatt and Grace and
fingers crossed. I really want Brandon on.
Yeah. So two things for Brandon. Maybe we'll have to figure out how we can do an in-person live podcast with you and Wyatt and Grace and myself, like all of us in person. As well as getting Brandon on the episode. So we'll have to not tell Brandon ahead of time, but just have Brandon listen to this episode and see if he gets our message that Susan, yourself, and myself will want to have him on the podcast. So we'll see what he Brandon, if you're listening, you know how to get in touch with me, and we'll see if we can make that happen. With that, do you have any? We got one final thought, but before that, let's go ahead and roll the bumper. Let me go find the bumper. It is here. We go. Let's go ahead and roll that bumper.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Let's try that one more time. Let's go ahead and roll that bumper.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference. Difference.
Our demands are
Equality.
Dignity, and the recognition of our shared humanity.
We will not stop
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
more divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
Ever since Susan and I attended the 2019 Special Olympics World Games in Abu Dhabi, I've been asking all of our guests one final question. And as you know, the inclusion revolution is a big message and campaign in Special Olympics. And so we always like to not just have our listeners hear your story and consume this content, but take something and bring inclusion into their communities. And so I'll ask you, what does inclusion mean to you?
Inclusion means being accepting of everybody, no matter the disability, the race, the anything. It just means that you're accepting and you want to make a friend out of everybody, and just being welcoming.
Awesome. Well, that's a perfect way to wrap up this episode. It's been joy having you on the program, Susan. And for those of you listening, want to just a few final plugs at the end of the episode. We want to remind you all that you can join now and support this podcast with a monthly or one-time donation, specialchronicles.com/plus to access the pre-show of watch Susan and I get ready to record this podcast, as well as other bonus content, specialchronicles.com/plus. You can shop our merchandise store and show your support of Special Chronicles. Our Special Chronicles store is managed by our Shine Labels. We have t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, our Disabled Voices Matter collection. And when you shop our store, 60% of the profits will go back to support Special Chronicles. Specialchronicles.com/shop is where you can get your t-shirts and hoodies and coffee mugs. And remember, visit specialchronicles.com for links to stream our archives of over 700 episodes, as well as follow Special Chronicles on socials and wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you again, Susan. For our guest has been Susan Wang, Southern Survival Global Messenger from Special Olympics Canada. Thank you again, Susan, for coming on the Special Chronicles podcast.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun.
And until then, everyone, have a great week. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, right here on specialchronicles.com. Choose to, we'll say, I'll have you say choose to include at the end. And until next week, everyone, choose
to include.
Choose to include. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles podcast. Our podcast was. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles podcast. Our podcast was produced by Daniel Smokowski on the Special Chronicles Network. Follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 500 episodes for free. Also, there's a list of our favorites, original series, award-winning columns, and blogs. And sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard. Thanks, as always, to our business manager, Adam Smokowski, who always encourages us to never give up. I'm Daniel Smokowski, back next week with more stories.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.